This is video 6 in the series AutoCAD 2024 Drawing a House. In this video we will add windows and turn them into a dynamic block. Note that this is what the drawing should look like by the end of the video, and note that all of the windows are sized on multiples of 100 millimeters. This will be an important factor when setting up the dynamic block. Let's start by adding a new layer. So we'll call it my initials, GA Windows. We'll make a color red, index color 1, and the thickness line weight is 0.13. That's fine. Let's make the layer current. So as a reference point, we'll use this window up here, and we'll start drawing a polyline 500 millimeters up just to give us some space, and the length of that window is 1800. Now we do need to think about the overall thickness of the wall here. So the wall thickness is 350. That will give us the outside edge of the wall. Then the sill must sit out in front of that. The front edge of the sill must be 50 millimeters in front of that. And then, as well as that, we'll use a stooled sill that's built into each side of the reveal. So let's use the stretch tool at this point, and 100 millimeters would be what would be standard there. And now we can delete that line because that line isn't actually needed. What we do need though is a line in 100 millimeters for the start of the window frame, and let's make the window frame 150 millimeters thick. It could be that it could be triple glazing or something that goes in here, maybe double glazing units. So we'll offset the frame thickness by 50 millimeters there, and then we can mirror that line to show where the window frame on the other side is, and then we'll add a line down the middle just to indicate that there is glass in there. Now we'll switch over to the walls layer, and we'll add another line in here, make it 350. That shows us where the reveal of the window is. I guess once again we could mirror that. So that gives us all the lines that we need as such to go in here. Let's just test that looks okay. Fits in fine. I'm going to undo that so that I can now turn it into a block. So create a block, we'll call it dynamic window. And we'll pick a point. Let's just choose the inside of the window there. So that has now created that as a block. It is as a fixed size 1800, but what we can do is select it, right click and go to block editor. This allows us to then add the dynamic part to the window. So let's choose the parameters tab on the block authoring palette, and we'll choose linear. Watch what it says at the cursor. Start point, we'll choose one side, the end point on the other side, and we'll just offset that. It's a little bit like drawing a dimension. Let's select that and change the name to length, just so that we know that that's what that refers to. And then we can go to the, hit escape first and then go to the action tab, and we'll add a stretch action. So we do need to watch carefully what it says at the cursor here. Select the parameter, specify the parameter point. First we'll choose the right hand side, and then it's asking us to specify the corner. So let's draw from bottom left to top right over that. Select the objects. We will draw a selection window over all the endpoints of the lines on the right hand side of the window there. Hit return, and then that should move all of those endpoints then when we want to stretch or reduce the size of the window. Again, use the stretch tool, the same parameter, this time the left hand side, and we'll draw the first selection window, and the second selection window selects the objects or the endpoints of all of those objects, and we can now hit return. One final thing to do is to change the properties of the parameter. So let's go to properties again, and in terms of the value set, we can click on that box and change it to increment. We can make the distance increment 100 millimeters. The minimum, we'll set that as 200, and the maximum, well, we set it as 4,000. That's probably more than sufficient for this project. So at this stage, everything should be ready. Let's close the block editor, save the changes, and this should allow us then to change the size according to the parameters or the properties that we've set up. So that looks as if everything is okay there. So let's move that into place for the first window. Just making sure that it does snap to the correct endpoints. We'll mirror that to the front using the center line of the party wall there. The size of that window is the same, it's just slightly different in position. And then we can take a copy of the window over to the side. Let's rotate it by 90. And let's move it down to the first window at the bottom and reduce the size of that to 1 meter to fit in the gap. We can take 2 copies of this now to the other 2 side windows. First one is 1 meter, second one is a little bit longer. So let's extend that out to 1,200. And then for the first floor, it's really quite easy. All we need to do is copy over the windows, just choosing the point accurately here, corner to corner. And you'll notice that one side of that window does align. Try to align where your windows are. It really does help in terms of aesthetics and how the appearance of the building is. We'll take a copy of that window. That is the same size window, that's good. This one does align on one side, but not on the other. Make it a bit larger. That window is exactly the same. And for the other side then, we'll copy that over. And it really is very handy that if you want to resize or do anything with those windows at any stage, everything can be moved using the stretch tool. Very, very easy. You might just need to resize the windows slightly afterwards. So that is the way the 2 floors should look now, with all of the doors and windows added in.